Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Right Path. Today, I'm going to be just talking at you. This will mostly be directed at men, but women, I would encourage you to pay attention as well, because then you know what to look for in a man, and men, hopefully you guys will gain some understanding and some truth about yourselves. At the same time of me doing all of that, I want to play video games. I'm playing 2K20. That's right, get at me. Anyway, the point of today's video is to build up. Some of you may take it as a breakdown. Men, I'm going to be talking to you guys about doing the right thing. Because I see a lot of my brothers out there. When I say brothers, I mean that in a general term, all men, not just, African Americans. We are not exactly doing the right thing by women or by ourselves or our children for that matter. First thing I want to talk about is understanding yourselves. As a man, I know that we were all taught a certain pattern of belief, certain generational curses that we have never broken from. It's been handed down to us from people who were taught the same thing from their parents, taught the same thing from their parents, and so on and so forth. We basically don't really know how to think for ourselves. In today's day and age, we are taught this is what a man is supposed to be, this is what a man is supposed to do. For the most part, most of those things are good things, but there are some things that leads to a lot of toxic behavior, a lot of toxic traits in a man. For one thing, I know some fathers out there preach sex to their sons but are really against it to their daughters. I get it, being a man, you don't want your daughter out there wilding in the streets, but at the same time, it can't be a double standard. We shouldn't be out there encouraging young people or our peers for that matter just to be out there having sex with anybody without a true goal in mind other than just to stick it in as many people as we possibly can. A lot of parents, a lot of fathers really tell their boys, if you're going to do it, at least use protection. That is not what we should be telling our kids. I personally would never say that to my son. I know people out there 12, 13 years old who had sex, and to this day now they're a hoe. We're just going to use that term. They're hoes out here. In a man's world, that's seen as okay, and it shouldn't be that way from either side. We're supposed to be looking for somebody to hold us down, somebody we're going to be with for the rest of our lives and keep it moving, not looking for the next person to stick. And then we wonder why so many females out here got a lot of trust issues, so many females out here got a lot of problems. It's because we treat them like sacks of meat. We treat them like objects rather than people like we are. You gotta think about it. I don't want to compare it to slavery, but at the same time, it's a similar type thing. People of color were seen as creatures, meat, objects, property that people could do with as they please. And without the whole owning part of it, we do the exact same thing. We see women as objects, sacks of meat, things that are just there to please us, make our job easier, rather than as human beings and people that are deserving of our love. Sex cannot be at the forefront of our mind, because if it is a relationship, for those of us who are actually trying to get into one, it will never last off sex alone. You have to be able to communicate, you have to be able to talk. It starts with how we were raised. I know men were raised to be less emotional, because as far as the emotional side of things go, it's a woman's world. As far as everything else goes, it's a man's world. It's a man's world. I'm sorry, it's a good song. But we have to break that state of mind, because what ended up happening is we end up tearing down good relationships, not just with other women, but also with other men who were taught the right things, like being able to express their emotions in the correct way. Some people go out there, punch a hole in the wall and be like, I'm just expressing my anger. No, Kyle, you got problems, you got anger issues, you need to be in counseling or rehab or whatever. Get off the Monster Energy drinks, go sit down somewhere and get Jesus. But I don't want to blame it all on parents, because truth of the matter is, when you grow up, we can think for ourselves. If you look at other men and see their relationships, real successful relationships, it's because those two people understand each other. It's either because of that or because both of those people are toxic and are okay with their toxic behaviors, and that's why they're making it work, because they're both demons and they're used to each other. But it also comes from how each was raised, how each was taught, and they don't really want to change it. For the most part, the other side of that, are the men who sit down, they communicate with their lady, and they say, I understand where you're coming from, I get it, they express their emotions in the right way, it's not just pure anger. Like me, for example, I always express my emotions in anger. Not now, but I used to always express it in anger. Because how I was raised and suppressing my emotions, every outburst I had, because I wasn't used to it, was just angry because I didn't understand it. Now I'm starting to get a better understanding of my emotions. I know it's tough to get out of that state of mind, because the stereotypes go, and for the most part it's true, being African American, I vouch for this. African American households, for black men specifically, it's a lot tougher. We have a lot of things going against us. We have our skin going against us. We have women going against us. Because women were also raised to view a man, we have to deal with that as well. We're taught to keep ourselves in check, but not in a healthy way. And we have to work on that. Because if we don't, what it does is just, it ends up destroying everything good around us. And it ends up destroying ourselves, our successful future. I've seen father figures in my life, or brothers in my life, who don't know how to keep themselves in check. And they exhibit anger all the time. Think of it this way. When we play sports, what is one thing they always tell us to do? They get that drive in us. They tell us to get angry. You're supposed to get mad. Feel some pride in yourself. Get angry. Pride is not anger. Okay? Neither is ego, for that matter. But that's what we're taught. Feel the rage. Point it in a direction. You're not supposed to point your rage in a direction. Because if you point something in a direction, that thing is just going to keep going and keep going and keep going until it gets to the end of whatever direction you're going to. Considering the infinite void of space-time, your anger, your rage pointed in that direction is going to keep going in that direction forever till it gets bored and then starts to spread out like a cancer, infect everything it touches. It's okay to tell somebody to be strong. It's okay to speak logic into a situation and make sure someone understands. But leave anger out of it. And it starts there, because once you figure all that stuff out, everything else moving forward, those toxic behaviors you exhibit, from just using girls for sex, or just wanting to be a hoe, or whatever the case may be, it starts to dissipate. Because then you're more in tune with your emotions and you start to understand everything. And you can still understand where other men are coming from as well. You know, you being emotional doesn't mean you automatically can't relate to men or other men who may be less emotional. No, because you're still a man. You know how to understand both sides. That's what I'm trying to get at. We have to learn to understand both sides instead of having it stuck up in our ways that, no, this is how we were raised, this is who we are, this is exactly what it's going to be each and every time. It cannot be like that. The next part of that is, once you work on that and you're in a relationship, that's when the real toxicity kicks in. You know, you can sit here, be playing a video game, and not pay attention to a word she's saying. And I get it. And if it's the same story over and over and over again, at some point we're done. Like, we already told you what to do. Whatever the case may be, we tune out. But we have to understand, when you're in a relationship, women do talk to be heard, whereas men talk to find a solution. So the reason you get upset and feel like we're not listening to you is because we're listening to you and we give you solutions. Okay, we'll just do this. And you're like, why won't you feel my emotions? Ladies, 9.5 times out of 10, we're not going to feel it. We're not going to feel your emotions with you because we're looking for the solution. But men, that's where you come in. Once you learn how to drop all those, toxic traits from before, from growing up and the lessons we were taught, that's when you sit down and you're just like, okay, babe, I'm just going to sit here and listen to you. You have to be able to be an active listener. Being an active listener, believe it or not, goes a long way. That's where the understanding comes from. You have to know your lady. You have to really put in the work to make sure that woman feels loved, to make sure that woman feels accepted in every single thing that you do. And the biggest part of that, and the biggest part we've seen a problem with, is communication. Is being able to be open, being able to sit there, look your lady in the face and be like, this is what's hurting me. It's okay to admit you don't know how to fix something. It's okay to sit there and just open up to the right woman. Easier said than done, I get, because all those mental blocks in there, because you don't want to appear weak or too feminine or whatever the case may be. So we got to break down that wall, fellas. Because if we don't break down that wall, we start to lose good people, and then we start to complain about how none of our relationships work and women ain't this, women ain't that, when truth of the matter is, it starts here. Open up. And like I said, it does start when you are a kid. Being able to move past those toxic traits and come to a better understanding in yourselves. This is where I get to love languages. Men, you got to start doing research. I didn't know much about love languages. Someone introduced me to love languages. You have to understand those love languages. You have to be able to communicate with your lady in their love language. You can't have it in your mind like, no, this is how I love. She's going to accept my love how it is. No, everyone deserves to be loved how they're supposed to be loved. Ladies, this also goes for you. Do your research, find out your man's love language, and love them accordingly. A lot of people think just because your first love language isn't theirs and your last one is their first one, that all of a sudden you guys can't work. No. You can still make those sacrifices, you can still come together, and you can still work on those love languages that are closer together. Maybe both your physical touches is a 9 out of 12. Then you guys can make that work. There is no reason why, if you want a relationship to work, it cannot work, barring toxic behavior that you guys have to realize later on. We don't come with instructions. We have to go get them and receive instructions and direction. I'm getting tired of seeing women hurt and behind our actions, mine included. I've made some really messed up choices. Things I still regret to this day. I had to go back and apologize for. All because I've been hurt. We can't then just keep hurting other people. If someone hurts you and you hurt that person or you hurt somebody else, the people you hate so much keeps rising, because then you became that person and then you created someone else to be that person, and then they're not, unless you come across a strong individual who really finally gets the lesson. It's like, no, I'm not. That's him being stupid. That's her being stupid. I'm not gonna let that change me. That's another sad thing that we do. We allow pain to change us. We allow pain to dictate who we are and how we are going to behave. You can't let someone have that amount of control over you. You cannot let someone hurt you and then you decide all of a sudden that you're just going to close your heart off. Because who are they to have that power over you? Who are they to decide who you now become all because they hurt you? You can't let somebody change that about you. I'm not going to ruin a future relationship and behind somebody else and the pain they caused me. Pain and anger is a poison. It spreads out. And men, we have to be able to nip it in the bud and continue to grow. That goes for everybody. We're supposed to be open to everything. A man's brain is not just stone. We're all capable, men and women, of doing the exact same thing emotionally. So guys, I guess what I'm really just trying to get you guys to understand is that how we were raised doesn't make us bad people. It just means that when it comes to the emotional side of things, we may not be the best in those situations. Which sometimes is okay, because you have your friends, you can get it from somewhere else, whatever case may be. But man, what you don't want is for them to grow an emotional attachment with somebody else, because emotions are a big thing to her, and now she's getting it from somewhere else, because now she's emotionally cheating. And then eventually you start to wean yourself out of the situation, because she's not really getting much from you. She's not getting the more important things she needs from you, which is why you have to understand. You have to give her what she needs. What's the harm in just doing the right thing? Open your hearts, fellas. Start to understand the people around you. It does not just have to be the people you're dating. Best friends, your sisters, your brothers. Everything's not always black and white. There's a gray area in there. You guys got to find out that gray area between being hard, handling a situation the right way, and then being soft and learning to understand people, to break down the wall. I'm one of those type of friends who always offering advice, always want to be there for people. I'm just tired of seeing people hurt. You mind something that we're doing. I'm tired of hurting people. I had to learn to break free of all the trauma and things like that of my childhood, or things even when I was an adult. I had to break free from that mindset and understand this is a human being I'm hurting. Get out of that ignorant way of thinking, because it doesn't get us anywhere in life. Anyway, let me calm down. My team right now is 36-8. Let me see. Let me talk about my team real quick. I did this all through the draft. Penny Hardaway is my starting point guard, of course. He at 96. Kobe is 96. Gotta have Kobe. Tracy McGrady is my starting small forward. He's 22 years old. Kobe 23. Tracy 92. I got Dirk as my power forward, 94. And Shaq as my center, he 28. Then my bench, 6 man is a 95. Vince Carter is my 7th man. He's a 93. Grant Hill 92. Larry Johnson 91. Some guy named Arthur, 83, 80, 77, 75. We gonna win the championship. I hope y'all took something from this video though. It's time to grow up, guys. If we're really upset about how the world is going, then we have to do something to fix that. I've had some friends lately who've just been hurt by too many fellas out there, and it's gotta stop. Anyway, stay on the right path. If it ain't right, it ain't right.